Well, I've got my metaphor. I've got my overarching metaphor for this movie and why it appeals to men of a certain age.
Go ahead.
Because the entire thing is just a metaphor for puberty. And I can prove that because they are 15, which you couldn't pick an age better to put yourself in the most awkward transitional period. By 16 is when you get to drive a car by yourself. So anything before that, you're a kid. So being 15 fucking sucks because you're still thought of as a baby by grown-up people, and you're too big to play with little kids when you're 15. What do you do with yourself? You start looking for the meaning of life. So what you do. All right. Donatello's little B story is like, what does it all mean? Where did I come from? Is it special? And it's literally about where you came from, dude, is that you went into a puddle of shit and you went from little to big, which is exactly what happens when you go to puberty. A switch comes on and everything's awkward and weird.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
That's the other really big problem with this movie is nothing gets developed from a story standpoint. You have that sort of
Seems
really
like they're going
half-assed,
to, yeah.
where did I come from? And then
You
it's like,
came
came
from
from
the
Ooze, who
ooze.
cares? And then that's it. That's the end of that storyline. You have the storyline where Kino's going to infiltrate the Foot Clan, and he does. Oh my god, he's going to succeed, but then they find out 1 second later, and then that storyline's
Right, 1 second later, like, oh, I was hanging out with a turtle, now they know.
So
Why
that-
did you bring the turtle?
Right.
On your first fucking
And he just sort
infiltration?
of lightly crouches down behind a car. There's like
They escaped to the
5
sewer by
things.
lightly crouching down behind the car. An entire group of them, just want to say.
And
That's how
they
they
could easily
escaped.
just go down into the sewer too and follow them, but they
No,
don't.
but the big turtle got stuck.
Well, they could pull him out
He's big.
and then go in.
Took time.
But that happens like 5 times.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Let's see. They have yearning to do things that adults can do, like leave the house, but they're not ready. They're not allowed to go out without supervision, but that's all under the guise of, you guys are fucking mutant turtles. They won't understand. No, you're too young to handle yourselves in public. April is a stand-in for how they still need a mother, but they're flirting with the idea of also wanting a girlfriend one day, so she's like oddly both, and it's weird. It's because she's playing both because they're having to struggle with both. They have the ability to do adult things, martial arts, but they don't do it nearly as well as they think they do, and they don't do it responsibly. They don't make the best of that's, sex. Let's see. Okay, the name of the fucking movie, The Secret of the Ooze. That's just semen. And the secret is, when you use it, you grow a turtle, or you grow a person, or maybe when you're 15 and you finally have like porn in front of you and you go, that's it? Like this whole time I've been waiting to understand what the fuck sex was or what it feels like or whatever, and it's just a big bummer after you find out. I think so, because it's built up. I mean, I guess it depends on when you first do that as a boy. When do boys do that?
When do boys have sex?
It's all over the place, right? I'm just saying.
Wait, hold on.
It's like a huge deal in your brain, and then you do it, and you're like, ugh, thought it was going to be like something more interesting.
I have no idea because I was definitely not a boy. I was a man.
And was it like mind-blowing?
I don't want to talk about
All
it.
right. One with me. But, all right, I'm just saying, the secret of the ooze. Could they have come up with a word that sounded more like jizz?
I will just say that ooze played a big... Maybe this doesn't contradict what you're saying. Ooze plays a big part in the Turtles mythology. It's there from the beginning. It's the thing that transforms them into big mutant Ninja Turtles.
And the whole entire comic book, everything, it's all about transitioning from a boy to a man. They don't even have revealed private parts. Their costumes are designed, I mean, it's supposed to be, like a turtle stomach on their front. This makes sense, except for the crack goes all the way down into a V shape, giving them camel toe. So they're literally walking around with vaginas.
Yeah.
And at the very least, they're walking around with a hard shell that doesn't allow them erection.
No.
So they're in this weird... They're not
But they're
superheroes. They're fucking, they're controlled by a rat who, by the way, grew up at the exact same time as they did. So why is he 500 years older?
Because he was already a mature...
old rat.
And they were baby turtles.
Okay, so...
Because he learned karate and martial arts by watching his master do it. Before he was mutated, he was still smart enough to learn
Because everyone
martial
knows that
arts.
watching something means you can do it.
Yeah, well, his master would train in front of him, and he would copy what his master was doing.
That sounds adorable.
I know. And there's a scene in the first movie where they show that, and I looked it up, and it was just as adorable as I remember. Little rat doing it.
Oh.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Your metaphor is beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you think that what you're describing sounds more like a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old prepubescent?
No, this is why 15 is so frustrating. You do not get any of the respect that you should get, or that you feel like you should. But even if you did, if you got the ability to do whatever you wanted, you'd make a stupid choice because you're still a fucking kid. It's the cusp age.
No,
it's why
15.
No,
you're already
okay. We've been watching Home a lot, right?
The movie Home.
Yes, and Tip. That is the only age they could have made her. She's 15, and that's because she's got a driver's permit, which is why she drives shitty, but she's allowed to drive.
Let me clarify.
It's old enough for her to be left home alone for 2 weeks, and young enough for her to say things like, I'm just a kid.
I'm sorry.
What is your point?
Boys. I think 15-year-old boys are angry and hormonal. Whereas the energy of this movie is like an 11-year-old boy who wants to pizza and party and maybe is kind of interested in sex, but like also really put off by it. Is kind of like going through a growth spurt, but the brain is so far behind what the body is like suddenly they're really tall and awkward.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Whereas
I guess
15,
it's earlier. What, 15, you're a fucking man?
You like you're.
What were you doing
kinda.
at 15?
Going
to the Ohana
I looked exactly the same between age 15 and age 19. I looked exactly the same.
I don't know if you're the right.
I think most boys look the same between 15 and 19. But
okay, but your privileges are vastly different than 50. So what good is it to have a man's body by 15 and not get to do any of the manly things with it? I'm talking about the frustration of being a true in-between transitional age.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that you win. The manic energy is, I think, much more 11-year-old than 15-year-old.
That also fits my metaphor. The pace of this movie is so fucking frustrating because they are bouncing off the walls, way too hyper annoying. Then they get into some kind of sequence where I'm like, fine, I can put up with this energy. And then Splinter needs them all to goddamn sit down and talk real low and listen. And I think that must be what it feels like for any kid. Playing. Now you have to be calm. Okay, right now we're going to sit down. It's time to eat lunch. Playing. And now we're going to be calm. Because now it's time to sit down and we're going to have lunch. That proves your point more, but you're not making a fucking 10-year-old take a nap.
That's kind of charming. I kind of like
it's
that they
charming.
have to. I like that they have to keep sitting down and taking lessons.
I like the flips. I'll say that's the only thing I like.
And then doing flips.